Today's video, I've matched my outfit and my eyeshadow to the covers of the books because majority of these books have blue covers and that's exactly how they made me feel. This is gonna be such a controversial worst books, so sorry if I diss your fave. What up guys, it's Steph and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Continuing on with my end of year / new year videos, I'm going to be telling you my top 5 worst books of 2019. I read 50 books in 2019 and majority of them I really liked or they were just kind of disappointing. So I wouldn't necessarily say that they're the worst. None of these are rated 1 star, but they're just either the most disappointing or they just did not hit the mark whatsoever. Some of these are going to be a bit controversial, so obviously I need to put a disclaimer. Everyone has differing opinions about books. Some books that I might not like, you might absolutely love. So if I mention any of your faves, do not take it as an attack on you. I'm so glad that these books worked for you and that they're your faves. They just weren't for me. So with that out of the way, without further ado, let's get into the video. I literally can't stop looking at my eyeshadow. If I keep on looking at my iPad, it's because my eyeshadow is just like poo, 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 poo. And I'm like, wow, pretty. So I'm going to be going from the not so worst to the worst book that I read. And some of them might get a bit spoilery, so just a little warning. The first book I want to mention is Two Can Keep a Secret by Karen M. McManus. This one I didn't necessarily hate, it just was disappointing. I read One of Us is Lying in 2018. I was going to say last year. It was not last year, it was 2 years ago. And I really enjoyed it. It was really entertaining and I absolutely love The Breakfast Club, so I loved that one. So I was super excited to hear that Karen was... That sounds so weird. It sounds like I'm talking about my neighbor. I was so excited when Karen gave me cookies. So I was so excited to hear that she was releasing another book, but this one just disappointed me. I read it in February, so my thoughts are a bit hazy. There was so many characters introduced and they were all intertwined with one another, and it was so confusing to remember everything. Plus the fact that I just found the twist and like the mystery part to be really predictable. I guessed who the killer was, and that's something that I don't always do, so I found that kind of a bummer. Yeah, it just missed the mark for me. I just found it pretty average. I feel like if you're someone who is just getting into mystery thriller, you would really enjoy this and it's a good start to the genre. But for me, who has read quite a bit, I just found it really predictable. The next book on this list is 5 Feet Apart by Rachel Lepin. The next book on this list is Rape. Oh my god. Rape! The next book on this list is Rape. I didn't like it. It's not very good. I'm sorry, that was really insensitive. I shouldn't joke about that. The next book on this list is 5 Feet Apart by Rachel Lippincott. This book is another one that wasn't necessarily bad, problematic, or just horrible. It was just meh. Obviously, this is the book from the movie. I didn't realize before I read this, but the book was actually written after the movie was made, and so this is a novelization of 5 Feet Apart. It's written by 3 authors, Rachel Lippincott, Mickey Dougherty, and Tobias Laconis, and Mickey and Tobias are both the screenwriters of 5 Feet Apart, and so they worked with Rachel to create the book form. And that's mainly where my problems lie with this, because even from watching the trailer, everything that happens in this book is in the trailer. As you can see, it's extremely short. There's not much prose and it's mainly just dialogue, so we don't really get an insight into Stella's thoughts. It's basically just the script, but written as a book. We don't really get much backstory of Stella before she is in the hospital. and then afterwards it's just really vague, and it just feels like a skeleton of a book without any of the meat whatsoever. For a really short book as well, it's so forgettable. I barely remember any of the things that happened in this. I can't even remember what the illness is. That's how forgettable it is. I literally can't remember the name of it. I'll put it here if I remember it. I'm so sorry. And everything is just really far-fetched. The epilogue is so far-fetched. Obviously, I appreciate the representation of illness. I feel like books need to include illness way more than it has been, but I just feel like the representation of it in this book was a bit far-fetched. The whole point of it is that you have to stay 6 feet apart, but they end up decreasing it to 5 so that they can be closer to one another. But like, if this happened in real life, they'd probably die. Like, you can't do that, you know? Everything was too lucky, and I don't know. Obviously, if you're someone with this illness and it means a lot to you, then your thoughts are completely valid. I just feel like it's just meh. The next book I want to talk about, which is super controversial, is Truly Devious by Maureen Johnson. Please don't come for me, okay? Just let me explain. And I guess The Vanishing Stare could go along with this as well. I read this with Jasmine from L'Amour des Books, Nicole from Nicole and Her Books, and Noelle from Elle Attempts to Read. I feel really bad for putting this on there when we're buddy reading it still. I think this is more of a me problem than the book's problem, because I went into this thinking it was like a dark academia with like a lot of mystery and stuff, and I completely forgot that it's a YA book. And so when I went into this, I was like, oh my god, the characters are like really annoying and I can't connect with it, and like there's like a romance and there's not much mystery. With buddy reading this, I listened to it with the audiobook and reading it physically super fast, so I feel like that may have been a reason why I didn't like it. I just couldn't connect to the characters. I was getting super bored, and I feel like, again, because I read mystery books, the mystery was just very meh to me, and so some of the information I wasn't sinking in, and so the plot twists didn't have an impact on me, because I'm like, wait, who is that person? I don't understand what is going on. Another thing, which doesn't have to do with Truly Devious, but more with The Vanishing Stare, I rated Truly Devious 3 stars, and I rated The Vanishing Stare 2.5, but I think I want to lower it to 2 stars, because in my personal opinion, the things that happen, like the way the plot is laid out, is almost the exact same as Truly Devious. Like, some of the things that happen, it's repeated, and I didn't like it. I will be continuing on with the last book in the trilogy for the buddy read again. Hopefully it will redeem it. I feel like it would have been better if it was just in one book, so there was like a lot of mystery and a lot of things going on, but because it's dragged out over 3 books, it's not for me, and it's really slow, and I just got so bored and I just can't connect, and yeah. I'm sorry, if you like it, you're valid, but it's just meh for me. These 2 are the main books that are the ones that I'm just like, one of them is a bit controversial and the other one is like super controversial, so let's get into it. The first one being You by Caroline Kepnes. This one was very expectation based. This book is written in second person, so Joe, the main character, is telling the story to the person he's stalking, who is Beck. The main problem I had with this book was I was expecting a psychotic murderer, serial killer, psychotic, crazy dude who is planning on killing the girl. But what I got was a guy who is extremely infatuated with a girl that he becomes obsessive. And I just found that really meh. The whole book, it's just Joe sexualizing Beck and just like wanting to fuck her, and it's just not for me. All of the characters are unlikable, but like, it's unlikable to an extent where it's not even a good book. Like, I hated the characters. They were so annoying. I hated Joe. It was creepy and just weird, which was what I was expecting, but it wasn't as thrilling as I was expecting. I wrote in my Goodreads review, what Joe saw in Beck other than her body will forever be the only mystery going for this book. So that's my review, and I rated it 2 out of 5 stars. I'm probably gonna lower most of these books. Thank you. And the last book on this list, which I kind of have been insinuating in a couple of my videos, I think I've mentioned it, but my least favourite book that I've read on this list is Renegades by Marissa Meyer. You see how I have all of the other ones, but then for Renegades, I got it from the library, and thank the Lord, because if I spent money on this book, I would be so disappointed. Alright, what can I say about this book? I feel like I make it out that it's worse than it actually is. I went into this with the wrong expectations once again. I went in with like truly devious kind of thoughts from all of the people who were recommending this book. In my head, I thought it would be this really intense world with heroes versus villains, and we're following Nova, who is almost like Black Widow / Nebula kind of vibes, where she's just really dark and just like has all these walls built up and is super wants revenge and stuff like that. Iron Steel and like super badass. And what I got was this girl who was having feelings for one of the heroes, but ooh, I gotta keep my secret identity. Like, oh my god. The one thing I hate is miscommunication in books, which is something I've realised this year. And this had so much miscommunication, and it was just so angsty. Like, I was expecting this crazy sci-fi hero world with good versus evil, but I just got like an angsty YA book, and it made me so upset. The main thing I didn't like about it was I just couldn't get into the writing, because it's written in third person, but in the POVs, it's so in depth about every little detail, and is like milking like this secret identities like plot line, but it makes it so in detail that it's obvious for the reader to know that it's a secret identity thing, but the characters have no idea, and it makes them look so dumb, because it's blatantly like, oh, where did he go? But all of a sudden there's this guy, but I kind of like recognize his voice, but I don't know what it is. And it's like, obviously, are you dumb? I can't remember any of their names other than Nova, so I'm just gonna be like referring to like Guy. It's almost like Miraculous Ladybug, because there's Nova, who is bad, but she has a good like persona that she's playing for the heroes, and then there's the hero, but he wants to defy his parents, and he's like being this other hero, but he's perceived as bad. And so Nova and the hero like each other, but the alternate like identities hate each other, and it's so annoying, and I just hated it so much. This is my like review to come. I'm so happy I finally finished this book. Probably the most disappointing, insufferable, and brain-numbing thing I've ever read. And I stand by that, because this book hurts me. I do not like it whatsoever. I'm so sorry. If you loved any of these books, I'm so happy for you. I'm so glad that you liked them. But these books, I just don't like. And I apologize. So that was the end of this video. I didn't expect to get as angry as I did. So I'm sorry, but I hope you found this entertaining a bit. Thank you all for watching this video. If you liked it, please give it a big thumbs up. Subscribe for more videos every week. Stay tuned for Tuesday's video, which is a bit more happier, where I talk about my top 5 best books of 2019. All my social media links are down in the description box below. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you on my next video.